Coming to you from Crash Studios in Music City, USA, Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show. On this episode, Nashville singer-songwriter and session and touring ace, Chris Rodriguez. And now, Rich Redmond.
What is up, everyone? Rich Redmond here. This is the Rich Redmond Show, coming to you live from Crash Studio, beautiful Music City, USA. And as always, I have my co-host, co-producer, Jim McCarthy, JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com. How you doing today, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic. I am so excited because our guest, Chris Rodriguez, you mentioned this guy's name in Nashville. He is an A-lister sideman musician that plays anything with a string on it, recording artist, background vocalist, songwriter. He's been here through several eras of the Nashville music machinery, and we're just so happy to have you here today, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome aboard.
Fresh off a plane.
Fresh off a plane.
From Dallas, Texas.
Love Field.
What were you doing in the Big D?
Well, I flew in and did a couple of gigs this past weekend with my good friend Jeff Coffey. Jeff was the lead singer of the band Chicago and bass player for the band last 2016, 17.
And he's really good friends with Jack Sizemore, our guitar player.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And currently tours with Don Felder.
Yeah.
But we became friends a year ago, and we're both high tenor singers and songwriters, so we just decided to do like these kind of stripped down acoustic shows.
That's great to hear. I didn't know that because he is one heck of a musician.
He's amazing.
I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl with Chicago maybe 3 years ago.
No joke.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I unfortunately didn't have a chance to see him, but it's funny because at the time I was and have been for the last 5 years touring with Peter Cetera. So and Peter is kind of taking a hiatus right now. So his former gig and my kind of hiatus gig they're related.
You guys are connected with synchronicity.
There's a synchronicity
in the universe. And you know what's actually really funny is that Kurt Allison and I, who's our guitar player in Al Dean's band, I've been playing with him for 23 years. He and I played with Ronna Reeves. Now Ronna Reeves was a country artist, right, and then Peter Cetera produced a pop rock record on her.
Right.
And then Kurt and I went out in '98 and toured with her. And that was produced by Peter Cetera.
And the record you were in support of was that record. Oh, it's crazy. I think they do duets. They did duets together.
I believe so.
Later, yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
How many people, in the instant I met you, I had a doppelganger in my head. How many people come up to you and tell you that you look like Clint Holmes? You know who Clint Holmes is?
Oh, the Vegas entertainer.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Good looking guy.
He's on all the billboards.
He's not a bad... because I'm known for doing bad telling people, oh, you look. I've told one guy one time he looked like Martin Short, and my wife's like, dude, really?
I could maybe see that a little bit. He wins like Vegas Entertainer of the Year every year.
Oh my God, he's great. Yeah. He's an unbelievable entertainer. Look him up. He's got a hit song. One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he took it all the way to the bank. He said, I'm going to go to Vegas. He was ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
He
did very well out there.
It used to be Vegas. You would go. That's where entertainers would go to die, right? And their last 10 years, right?
Yeah. And that's where they still go.
You know what?
For the money.
It's flipped. I mean, a lot of your former bosses, my current boss, doing residencies. So if you have like 5 to 10 hits, you could set up shop now at MGM Park, Hard Rock.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
People are doing it. We're doing one in Vegas the first Thursday, Friday, Saturday of December.
Yeah.
It's already sold out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Uh,
So excited.
I think it's a new business model, and maybe it expands, into the other towns in Nevada and wherever there's gaming in the U.S.
Totally.
I think it's a good business model because artists can come in there and set up shop, and their production costs go way down because it's mutually beneficial. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
The casinos can't lose. No,
and they want you.
And
at
they
that
never
show.
lose.
Guys, look at this. I just want to give some perspective. When you're talking about the music business, and I hope you're not offended by the term sideman, Because that's what we are, right? I mean, that's what they call us, sidemen. And so for people that aren't in the music industry, a sideman is basically any man or woman that plays and acts or sings and backs up an entertainer that is signed to a record deal, a recording artist, as opposed to a band where, like the Beatles, everybody's signed to the record deal and everybody has an equal say, right? So look at all the people this is the who's who of the music industry: Michael Bolton, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Vince Gill, Amy Grant. It seems like if you work with Vince, you also work with Amy. It just seems like they go hand in hand.
And in my case, it was Amy first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Faith Hill, Billy Joel, Wynonna, Kenny Loggins, Michael W. Smith, Shania Twain. I mean, the list goes on and on. Now, Peter Cetera. And Shania, I remember seeing you on the David Letterman show. This is at her height, right? When she was like...
We did You Win My Love.
Yeah.
On the show.
And I remember I was like, who is that charismatic, dynamic dude working the room, man? You know? And it's like, I could see, not only are you very talented, but it's like you have the whole package. You're a very nice guy, got a great look, you're a slave to fashion like I am, you know? And we've been running into each other a lot lately because you've been playing some road dates with Terry Clark.
Yeah.
So I will see you in the outskirts of Canada. I'll be at like getting ready to order at Timmy Ho's, and there's Chris in line ahead of me, you know, and because we're playing some festival in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, that was a great gig. Oh my gosh.
The Rich Redmond Show will be right back.
Learn by doing, I definitely think resonates with what we're about here at the School of Rock. I'm Angie McCrite, and I'm the owner of the School of Rock in Franklin and Nashville. I would say that the majority of kids that come in have either been sitting in their bedrooms, watching YouTube, learning how to play, or they've taken music lessons at some point in their life. We do have a lot of beginners. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You can participate in our programs, whether you're a beginner or you're advanced. We don't teach music to put on shows. We put on shows to teach music.
Connect with School of Rock today. Search School of Rock Franklin or Nashville. This is the Rich Redmond Show.
What's real funny about that job is it was on an island, Vancouver Island.
Yeah, so we had to ferry over.
Our tour bus had to get on a ferry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so, like, I didn't even
That's
look
not
out.
nerve-wracking at all.
We weren't even supposed to stay on our bus. You're supposed to get off the bus.
Supposed to get off.
We hid. We got a really good tour manager. He was like, guys,
Why can't you stay on the bus?
It's I guess if anything should happen, that's the first place water's getting in.
Yeah.
So it's
At least you can jump
'cause you're
off.
down below.
Yeah.
I see.
You're in the
Right.
way down.
Actually, I didn't even know about that, and that's frightening. I would have definitely gotten off if I had known that.
You put yourself in harm's way.
Well, there was a Celtic trio upstairs, and then Lauren, our fiddle player, just got her violin
You are
out.
kidding me.
Yeah, there was up there where you get coffee.
I thought you were making a Titanic reference for a second.
You had me at Celtic. You had me at coffee. I should have gone up.
Yeah.
Up in Vancouver with the icebergs, you know.
So I'm trying to get a little sleep on the ferry, and I was for an hour and a half.
That's the kind of thing that you might as well make a couple extra bucks. You put out the cup and play, and let all the other guests.
It was really cool though.
Yeah.
It was good.
Now, Jim brought up something to my attention. It's really, really, I get Hits Magazine, I get Performing Songwriter, I get Modern Drummer, I get Billboard. It's, the SAG-AFTRA magazine. There's so many industry rags to keep up with. Mm-hmm. And just the state of the industry, it's moving so fast. He goes, guess what, Rich? Tool dethroned
Taylor Swift
on this latest
couple
record.
weeks ago.
Oh, it's a couple weeks ago. This is old news.
Well, it's not old news, but, we're kind of...
It's very topical.
It's just topical.
So what are your... a rock band... And how did they do it,
13 years
Jim?
in the making, though. So the basic, and it's funny that we're talking about disrupting how the music business shifts. Talking about Vegas residencies,
Sure,
and how the business model might be changing. I'm thinking this is the thing that could possibly bring CDs and hard copy material back into the fray. Right? They did something that's so mind-blowing, and I was listening to a show about it. They talked to, I guess Taylor Swift does this as well with her albums, but Tool created like a 4-inch LCD video screen inside the package that they're selling with their music, their latest album.
That's incredible.
With a 2-watt speaker that has all this bonus content on it. And I want to say it can even connect to Wi-Fi to download more bonus content.
So it's like its own multimedia player.
Right. So instead of buying songs by song, you get the whole enchilada that you got to pay for. That comes with all these bonuses that don't include concert tickets. They're not bundling the concert tickets in this.
Now, what's the pricing? Is it?
It was like $40 to $50. It's not,
That's really good.
It really is.
I mean, I know everybody's bundling now, and that makes sense.
It does.
It's like Verizon.
The pendulum
or AT&T.
is starting to move back, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this. It's not. I guess saying maybe a virus in reverse, but it is constantly morphing what needs to be done right now.
Well, I was at Walgreens yesterday picking up some bottled water and stuff, and Taylor Swift's latest records there is your item that you grab with your chiclets and your nicotine on the way out, right?
Impulse
I was like,
item.
who is an impulse item? Yeah. And I was like, who's buying these? I don't have a CD player. I don't have a DVD player. Literally, I have drank the Kool-Aid. I'm on Spotify. I'm all digital like the kids now. Do you still have a CD player? I mean, you probably do.
I do because I drive an old car. So but that's cool because I listen in there.
That
was very appropriate. There you go.
But if I'm inside the house, I'm never. There's no CD.
Yeah.
I've got stuff that I've done when I first was in radio on cassette, and I can't play it because I don't have a cassette player. And whenever I want to go look for one, they're all like $40 to $70. I'm going, I just can't bring myself to spend that kind of money on a cassette player.
I got rid of all my cassettes. I feel bad about it. But, when I was getting my master's degree at the University of North Texas, the master's students could go up into the library and could check out any CD they wanted. So when I was going through my jazz, bebop, hard, big band swing era, like I copied everything. I pirated everything. And then when I was driving around Dallas, Texas, I could pop the cassette in my Toyota pickup truck and study these great jazz drummers.
I did the same. Absolutely.
I finally got rid of everything because I was like, you know what? I pay $10 a month for Spotify. I can get all of this.
Yeah. Now.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
You can find the rarest thing that you thought was, out of print and it's back.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's pretty brilliant with Tool, but they're always been really kind of forward-thinking guys.
But I mean, a lot of artists can apply that same thinking to their stuff. There's no reason that why Florida Georgia Line couldn't do it, why Jason couldn't do it. All these different artists, you know what I mean? That brings the actual tangible product back into play instead of it being a digital download. Which I'm not even sure if it even has a CD in the actual packaging. You may be able to download it, but you get the entire album.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah. For Jason, our 9th record is coming out November 22nd. So right around the holiday there, I'm going to be doing the East Coast, West Coast morning show, late night show thing, which is always fascinating and very enjoyable for me. And I know you've done that circuit a million times over the years.
Lobby calls 4 a.m.
Yeah, but the crew, 2 a.m. Poor guys.
Well, they never went to bed.
They just stay up.
They just stayed up.
They just stay up because they got to set up drums and bass rigs.
At 9:30 that morning, they'll be lights out.
Yeah. After a New York City bagel.
After a big breakfast at a diner.
But Jason, what's typical with every release now is you'll have your single. You can pre-order the entire record. Right. Maybe you right now you can get a track for free to entice everyone, and then there's maybe a standard video that's shot that's kind of theatrical or performance based, and then all the kids have their crazy lyric videos now that are a big thing. So I think that's the pool where he swims in.
Well, November 22nd is the drop date.
November 22nd, and you could pre-order today.
Yeah, I've heard the song that's releasing. It's a good song. It's really good.
Well, it's fun. There's a song called... it's a lot of... in our music, you got a lot of jet-jets.
That's a Foo Fighters 101. That's a Dave Grohl.
It reminds me
special.
Of like Terminator 2. And then the Terminator is getting closer. What do you think about this new Terminator? Linda Hamilton is back.
I haven't seen. Tell me more about that.
Well, I went to go see Stephen King's It yesterday, part 2. So and I went with Tully, our bass player, longtime friend, and his son Keller. And I was like, I'll go. And we went we went to the dine-in where you could push the button and the little waitress comes and brings you stuff. Like Nashville is all grown up. The West Coast has had that for a long time. But now you can order like boneless chicken fingers, while you're watching Stephen King's It. The first movie was 3 hours. This second part is 3 hours. It's like The Lord of the Rings. It was very, very scary.
And is your seat like a bed?
Oh, yeah, you can-
it's
totally
like a-
reclinable.
Oh yeah,
and
it's like first class pod.
the only thing missing is my pillow guy and like a comforter or something.
The beer guy.
Yeah.
Where did you see this?
We went to go to on Fraser Drive there in Cool Springs.
Okay.
The AMC theaters.
Yeah,
they give it a big facelift.
Yeah, they've got the couch seating.
But that's what's happening in Nashville everywhere. You're either building new buildings, you're refurbishing old things, or you're giving everything a facelift. I went to go to my favorite little cigar shop yesterday next to Trader Joe's on Green Hills. I walk in, all new hardwoods, everything's been painted, fresh new leather. They added a bar. I'm like, wow. And it's like Han Solo when he was frozen and carbonite for a while. You know, he came back, the whole world had changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Nashville is crazy. But let's talk a little bit about your history. You're from the Bronx.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I grew up in the Bronx.
You're from the Bronx. And what was going on in your house? Brothers, sisters, musical family?
I was the oldest. We ended up being 5 kids, but when we were in New York, it was 3.
Yeah.
And I was the oldest. And
I'm
my
the
mom-
oldest too, yeah.
Yeah, and my mom, they were musical people, but didn't, make a living. But they were pretty hip.
Yeah.
They were kind of like hippies, but without the drugs.
Yeah.
As it turned out, they were. So like when I wanted a Strat,
Yeah.
no problem. You don't have a plan B? No problem.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah, they were cool that
That's
way.
very, very nice.
Yeah.
And very forward thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, very supportive, and they could tell. By the time I was 5 or 6, I was dug in. I knew this was it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you got a little olive in the oil. What are you, man?
Puerto Riqueño,
Huh?
Puerto Rican.
Oh yeah.
So my mom and dad are West Side Story Puerto Ricans, as I like to say.
Right.
That's their like backdrop.
Yeah.
From when they were 20,
Yeah.
and then I was born the year after that movie came out.
Yeah.
So that's like and then lived in the Bronx until 73. When I was in 8th grade, my dad said, "We're moving to Miami."
Did you guys run around in run around in the fire hydrant water and like
Heck.
ice cream truck coming and
Not so much in my neighborhood, but
Spike
my
Lee
grandma
film.
lived in Spanish Harlem, and that happened every weekend.
If you watched A Bronx Tale, that was pretty much the era you grew up in.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. Like just pick a post Godfather era,
Yeah.
and that's my Bronx.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
Now, for me, my gateway drug was Kiss that got me into music, 1976, 1977, and then the Police came out with Synchronicity in 1983, and I knew what I was going to do with my life. What was it for you?
I was 6 years old, and we moved to a new neighborhood in the Bronx, and the guy I ended up being best friends with said, "You don't know about the Beatles?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think there's a guy named Ringo in it." And that's about all I knew. And then
I love it. You knew Ringo's name.
I knew Ringo's name, and that was it. Like we listened to records every day from first grade till the year I left.
Do you remember the first? Was it "I Want to Hold Your Hand"?
No, because this was 1966. So by the time we started listening, like I think it was something from Help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And back then there was TV Guide. That's how you knew what was on TV.
God, I remember that. Yeah, my
And if-
grandmother would get it.
In the late 60s, they would show Help or Hard Day's Night, and you lived all week. Like you would read that and go, "Man, Friday night, 8 o'clock, I know where I'm going to be."
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was it until the Jackson 5. I mean, it was nonstop Beatles until Michael Jackson appeared.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But that was like the height of all their early hits,
I love that stuff.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
I learned how to cross my arms off the TV guide, like to do this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a picture of Gary Coleman because there was big back then. It was Different Strokes, and he was just sitting there like on the this like had that look on his face. So I sat there and studied. I'm going, okay, so I put my arm here, and then the other arm goes on.
Come on, Jim. How young were you?
I was like 7.
Yeah.
7 or 8.
He had a Napoleon complex.
And it's still out there. I didn't know that. TV Guide is still out there.
Printed?
Well, I don't know if it's
It's iconic.
Yeah, it's still an entity. It didn't go away.
It didn't disrupt.
Yeah.
It didn't shift.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then what can you remember the first band that you played in?
Well, yeah, that would have been, I got to Miami and then I got in a band the second day I was in school.
Wow.
Yeah. And stayed with that band until I got to college, which was amazing because that band, we started, mowing lawns, and it was a trio. We didn't even have a bass player. And then we got a bass player. And within a year and a half, we were a 9-piece horn band.
Wow.
Playing everything from Zeppelin to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Now you're still kind
kidding.
of doing that, aren't you? You're in the Alternators here in
Yeah.
Nashville, right? And you
Yeah.
guys play like Ron's room over there, 3rd and Lindsley.
Yeah, we played 3rd and Lindsley, and we've been playing City Winery quite a bit.
I love that venue. I was like doing some research on you guys because I think I've seen you with that band. Is there another band you play with around town pretty regularly that's kind of a big ensemble like that?
I've
Maybe
done
the
some
lawn
stuff
players.
with Wes Little, but we were out of town. That was out of town stuff.
Yeah.
Lawn Players I've sat in a
Yeah.
few times. Like they did Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah.
And I did Comfortably Numb.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now it says, I read that of all the people in that band, you guys can account for 350 million records sold. So everyone's like a session musician or, a high level touring musician or both. Because you've lived in both those waters. When I moved here in 1997, you were either a touring musician or you were a recording musician. And I said, I am not going to subscribe to that theory. I am going to be both. Seems like you did the exact same thing.
I did. I never, forsook one for the other.
Right.
It
doesn't make sense.
No, but for me it was very practical because I just love playing.
Right.
So like live is a different rush than a studio. A studio rush takes a minute to get there sometimes. That's a longer sculpt. Live is immediate.
The coffee kicks in and you're talking to the client in the studio, and it could be someone that you've never met before in your life. But usually, you were swimming in these great waters where, you're playing sessions all the time with the Chris McHughes of the world, right? A group of studio musicians, it's very much people say it's a clique and you can't get in it, or you create your clique. You ended up being in that circle of people that were making records, and I'm sure that spilled over into the things you were doing on the road as well.
Well, the studio thing would not have happened for me had I not been a live guy.
Sure.
That's how I got in.
And what was the first touring job in Nashville?
Michael W. Smith.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been 1985. Up till that point, I played clubs, 6 nights a week.
Around town here.
And Bowling Green, Paducah, Owensboro, Oxford, Mississippi.
That's so great to hear, because we talk about it all the time, and not to like beat the millennial thing to death, but I just feel like there's a lot of kids that are moving to town, and they're fresh out of Berkeley or Musicians Institute or North Texas State or University of Miami, and they're just like, oh man, I got some money saved. I don't want to play Lower Broadway. I'm going to go crash some parties. I want to meet the right person. I'm going to get this huge life-altering job right away. They don't want to go play the Bowling Greens. I did the same thing, man.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it back then. I would have done it for nothing,
Right.
Back then I was like, you're going to pay me $150 to go down to Oxford, Mississippi?
Oh my God, my bills were
there.
so low. It was like me, Kurt, and Tully. Our rhythm section been playing, the guys. They're basically Kurt Allison, Tully Kennedy. We've been playing together for over 20 years. We lived together for an inappropriately long time into our 30s, but we were thinking to ourselves, what was our mortgage? Oh my God, $1,100 split between 3 guys, and then you put it all together, our bills were nothing.
No, that's a smart move.
It was an incredible time.
And you're on the road a lot, so you don't even feel the
And our
burn.
garage was like SIR, like the right side was all drums, the left side was all guitars and basses, and the middle was like all amps.
It's got a rental company going on.
It was great.
On the off time.
Yeah. Who were some of the familiar faces that you navigated this Nashville journey with? Like drummers you worked with a lot, bass players you worked with a lot. Did you find that happening? Like running into the same guys because you would recommend each other for things?
There was a bit of that going, but I just had the fortune of working with all the guys that were like me. They got the gig, but my first tour with Amy, it was Greg Morrow. That's amazing.
A beautiful drummer. Yeah.
He's a great musician, gets the whole thing. Loves rock and roll, he knows more about guitars than I do.
I've been over to Greg's house, and he's got this room. You've probably been in walls and walls of LPs, and he has sometimes 5-6 copies of favorite recordings. And when someone comes over, it's like a parting gift.
Yeah.
He's like, here, take this Cheap Trick record. Oh, here, take this Santana record. So sweet. So nice.
Yeah, what a pocket and what a great sound and and an encyclopedic knowledge of grooves, you know.
Yeah.
The first tour I ever did with him, I think it was one of the first sound checks, and we were overseas, and he did Fireball, the intro to Fireball, which is Deep Purple.
Yeah.
And it's like the birth of speed metal, Ian Pace.
Right.
Kind of intro, and he just started doing it, and I'm like, "Are you playing Fireball? That's the greatest thing ever."
Let's look for this.
You know, walking in here, did you find it odd that Rich has a guitar sitting right over there amongst all the drums?
Oh my God, I'm so horrible at it though.
Have you tried playing? Really?
I'm all thumbs, dude.
Really?
Well, I just try to surround myself with people that have skill sets that I don't, and then you can get more done.
Yeah, true. You know who actually plays guitar, but is primarily a drummer in the band, is Charlie Benante from Anthrax. He comes up with a lot of the licks.
Yeah.
The guitar licks.
That's great.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm all for being a multi-instrumentalist, or at least going for it. Try to make a noise.
What was that song called?
It's called Fireball.
Oh yeah.
Dig this drum intro. It's just I've just since I was a kid I've loved
Fireball,
this.
Deep Purple. Here we go. I'm ashamed that I don't know it. 1971.
It's funny watching the both of you like all just getting into it.
I mean, that's early metal.
But it's still really a dry kit. It's
dry.
It's not as big as Bonham's sound, even though this is like a year after Zeppelin started.
Yeah, this is 1 year after my birth. Crazy.
And it's a dry kit, but it's almost like a double kick kind of pattern.
I never knew that he did double kick drums. I don't think Ian Pace ever did that. I think he's just breaking it up over the limbs.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what he's doing.
Oh my God, it's so cool.
But it's such a propulsive groove. Like I would play that intro over and over. Like,
yeah, it's almost like.
It's iconic. That might be a double kick. It sounded like a double kick.
It sure did. Check it out. We'll have to get Greg Morrow as a guest. Let's go back.
Go back a bit. That's double kick. That's totally double.
Totally,
kick.
right?
Yeah.
There's no. Is that?
No, unless
that would be really hard to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kids out there today that can do that.
Yeah.
But
Not this old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's even a stereo thing going on there too.
And he's one of Paul McCartney's favorite drummers. Like he's done.
Paul McCartney is such a great drummer. There's videos floating around of him playing in time, feel, space.
Oh, he's fantastic.
You know, vocabulary.
Yeah.
There's only something like that comes along every 50 years.
Philip Collins.
Yeah.
Another
Man,
one.
unsung, great drummer. One of my all-time favorites, Phil Collins.
The way they processed the drums on those albums were amazing.
Aldine keeps threatening for us to update Against All Odds. He's like, this is a fantastic song.
That's not a bad idea.
He's like, Redmond, you got the fills? I'm like, I got it. Yeah.
No, man. I think that's a great idea. It's a great song.
Yeah.
You guys just do it heavy like you do.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a great idea.
You heard it here first.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, hey, let's listen to some of your music. Now your first solo record as an artist. Now, you're writing songs. You're a session musician. You're touring. You're wearing all the hats, which is what I tell everyone to do in Nashville. Don't limit yourself. And then you put out this record in 19. There's been many since. But let's just check this out. This is you as a singer.
This is the title track. I've heard this.
8-bar intro, man. Nice.
I've heard it said before, you gotta look hard, you gotta find a door, and you will see.
That's cute.
Chris McHugh.
A bigger love will be revealed to you, the simple truth will set you free. Well, I'm desperate, broken down, out of touch. I need a good friend.
I like the bass line.
Something still
Very active.
way off the road. Grab the wheel 'cause I'm out of control.
Nice color.
Take a look inside my life and see the whole story. Take a look and you will find my heart in your hands. Take me away, don't wanna miss the glory.
Nice job.
Will you love me once?
Almost sounds like Clint Holmes.
Give me twice. And take me to paradise.
Woo!
Clint, my homie.
Good.
That's fantastic, man. So, do you...
There he is, just so you know.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Doppelganger.
You
He could
know,
be a stunt double. He could be your stunt
Gotta
double.
cut his hair just a little bit.
If you show it to the camera. I'll put it up there.
what's the guy's name in CSI Miami? Alex Rodriguez?
Oh, we can look it up. IMDb.
While he's doing that,
Yeah.
going back to the Bronx, and you grew up around that time, in the South Bronx, there's a little place known as the, I want to say it's the Boys and Girls Club, and Denzel was quite the frequenter there. But it might have been before your time. It may have been like in the 50s or so. But he was really developed there and gives back a lot to that organization now.
Wow.
So I don't know if you guys ever came across each other's paths or...
Not yet. Not yet. But like, I mean, I left there when I was 13, and that was the early 70s. Like,
Right.
Theme from Shaft had just come out, and then we moved to Miami. Yeah.
Denzel would have been just another guy on the street at that
Well, I mean,
Lonnie Wilson is texting me. He's another great drummer.
he's texting you right now.
He's texting me. Are we still on for our interview September 11th? Yeah, I think so.
Lonnie, you're confirmed.
Oh, we had so many
Lonnie.
great drummers in this town. So many great musicians.
I'm going to note that.
Lonnie, you're wanted in the main lobby.
Oh, no, it's Adam Rodriguez.
Adam, okay.
Oh, yeah,
So
no,
I'm down playing the Logie Awards in Australia with Keith Urban.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had just gotten my hair cut because I had long hair. And he's walking the hallways and I'm walking the hallways.
No way.
And
He was one of the hosts.
he was there to get an award because CSI Miami was a huge show
Yeah.
in Australia. But we were both and they kept confusing me for him.
That's all right.
That's funny.
And you're like, hey, I want some caviar right now.
Do you miss Miami at all?
Totally miss it.
Do you?
Yeah.
I was telling Rich about this the other night. My wife and I watched this movie for, I want to say, the 5th time. It's called Chef. Have you ever seen it? John Favreau?
No, it's one of my favorite movies.
Is that not
This is
Miami
great.
or
I
what?
have
It's
to.
perfect.
Oh my gosh.
That movie that's one of the most up movies of the last 5 years.
It's a great movie.
Sofia Vergara.
Well, you said you could picture me in that movie. What part would I play?
I think you could have been like the John Leguizamo
Oh, yeah. I
Character.
can.
or one of the guys in the kitchen.
I resonate with Leguizamo. I like it.
You know,
I like Leguizamo.
he was great in that movie. I mean, it was just a good, fun, light movie to watch.
Yeah.
Interesting idea.
Yeah.
And he actually did an interview about I think he was modeling it after some sort of chef that he knew because John is a huge foodie. And he said he wanted the food to have a starring role in the movie. And it really does.
Yeah.
It was one of those things. We went to Miami for the very first time in 2016. I took my family down there.
Yeah.
And the restaurant that's showcased in the movie is called Versailles. And it's in Little Havana. And to get there, you feel like you need to be armed. But I mean, basically, it's, I'm like, lock the doors and make sure our life insurance is paid up. So we get there.
Come on, Jim.
And it's like a old school diner that I remember as a kid. So we walk in there and it was, we all had Cuban sandwiches and we're all just in. Oh my
No,
gosh.
there's that food is just soul food.
That sounds really good because I skipped
Unbelievable.
breakfast. so-
I did too, man.
What are we doing, man? Come on, guys. That's like.
Yeah.
I had a bowl of cereal.
Speaking of CSI Miami. So good.
Well, the other one you got, it's the Won't Get Fooled Again. Is the
Oh yeah.
when he puts his sunglasses on and does the one-liner.
Caruso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's almost like the voiceover guy of actors because
Yeah.
he really lands it.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like he's not coming to life again. Whatever he says. And he puts his sunglasses on.
I love it.
Always. Yeah,
Always.
there's always that thing.
Got to do that.
There's always that moment. What are some other fun stories? I mean, this is like a storied career you've had with both contemporary Christian artists, mainstream country artists, country pop artists, rock musicians. I remember when you were with Keith Urban, we opened for you at American Airlines Center there in Dallas, the
Dallas, yeah.
Enormo Dome.
Yeah.
And I saw you in catering, and I was like, we're talking. I was like, how long you been at this, man? You moved here in 78, right?
Yeah, I was 18.
And you have
Right out of high
never
school.
missed a meal. You have always played music. Somebody has always hired you. That is so awesome.
It really is.
So impressive.
Thank you. It's a good path to choose.
Yeah.
I'm not unhappy.
There's definitely a book in you somewhere there.
Yeah, or a blog or a journal of some sort.
Yeah.
Podcast.
Yeah, and here we
Here we are.
Yeah, I got to Nashville I think at the right time, at the point in 78 Nashville was the third coast, and now it's
The coast.
it's kind of the coast, It's definitely the coast for songwriting. And in some ways if per capita there's a bigger infrastructure for recording here.
Per capita for sure. And
Per capita.
even with some studios closing, I think to myself, wow, we still have Sound Emporium and Sound Stage and Omni and a lot of big rooms still, you know. And then over in Berry Hill, which is almost becoming the new Music Row because, for those that don't know, Music Row, the entire industry of music is pretty much run off of 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th Avenue, 4 streets that is a mix of basically homes that have been converted into management company offices or music law offices,
Publishing, all of it.
next to a world-class recording studio. But also things are also being knocked down for the high-rise condos.
Which is funny because hearkening back to one of our episodes with
Mr. Eddie Bears.
Eddie Bears, yeah, he talked about that a little bit. He says, look, with the advent of people doing what they need to do and the studio owners trying to make a living, and you got to have cash flow and everything. Someone comes along and offers you a couple $1,000,000 for your property. I mean, you're going to take it, even though it's a legendary property. You saying that they were once houses actually brings it back even further because were there people around that time going, what are you doing to these great little bungalow houses? You're turning them into management companies and studios and everything. And it morphed into what it is now with Music Row.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could have been moaning back then, like here we are and we're just looking at it from this lens. But it could have been the same back then. I lament that. I like the days of being able to drive around in a circle like this. That's kind of like there's not that many places on earth that are like that for recording. No.
We're an entire industry is based on 4 streets. That is incredible. Like, I'm a part-time Angelino. You go out there and it's like sprawl. It's harder to get things done. There is no epicenter out there. You just drive. You have to drive to a million different locations, to do things.
I did 3 years of A&R at Word Records when I was 41. I became VP of A&R.
And that record, Beggar's Paradise, was on Word Records, right?
It was, but me working as a suit there was 2 years later.
Yeah.
But Brent Bourgeois, who produced my record, it was an A&R guy there. He got me into the company as a junior A&R guy under him. But I would drive around Music Row in a circle with whatever I was listening to. I got to get out of the office.
Yeah.
I trust my car.
Yeah. Check a mix,
whatever. And that's Music Row. I could just loop around and I'm ready to go back to work. Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing now, and I've treated myself to a convertible. Now, once I've experienced this convertible, the culture of a convertible, I'm never going to not have a convertible. I've got my arm out the window. I love that thing.
You're welcome.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Jim. Jim is, I've mentioned in other episodes, he's kind of like my spirit animal. He's like my muse.
I thought I was your only one. You mentioned somebody else.
Well,
being your
I have a
spirit
friend, Michael, that
I'm very offended.
He's very nice, but you have been around in my life for over 10 years.
Spiritual.
You are. And so when I'm having a rough day or I'm not believing in myself or I've chosen a path where I don't know if I should be doing that, he's like, trust me, do this. Like he's a cheerleader, know?
Well, it's funny that you say that with, checking a mix in your car. Here we have these multi-million-dollar studios with the speakers and everything on it, that give you that real nice stereo image. But yet we go down to, we used to do it in radio.
Sure.
We used to actually mix up, our promo, whatever, and then we hit the cue speaker to see if you could hear, because it would be coming through a little mono speaker on the board. So I remember reading about that with Eddie Van Halen. He would talk about making a mix in the 5150 studio burning it to a disc back then, bringing it out to his, BMW or whatever, and then just listening
We
to
also
it in the
check
car.
mixes on these because this is how people are listening to music sometimes.
Well, that's now the new industry. That's
the standard on
right
the
there.
phone.
It's kind of crazy.
That is insane.
I mean, people have earbuds and stuff so they can pop in, but a lot of times it's just like your laptop,
You just stick it in a thing, and then
and that's it.
It's like
you dry your dishes.
I
or
had
whatever,
a client of mine
whatever
the
you're
other
doing in
day.
the kitchen.
He must have listened to the spot that I made for him on his phone. He's like, well, the music's pretty hot. And I said, I said, sometimes I get that. Sometimes when it's put through the processing on the radio station, the music gets cut down and the actual voice gets cut through a lot better. And I said, are you listening to it on your phone? He goes, yeah. And I said, that's why. I said, I can bring the music down. It's not a big problem, but I've been doing this for 20 some odd years. So I kind of might know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So,
So, your life kind of resonates with me. I feel like there's some parallels because, you swam in a lot of waters. You write songs, you're a recording artist, you tour with people, you record with people. What does a typical day look like for someone that's doing different things all the time? I get that question all the time. There isn't a typical day, right? You just...
No, it keeps morphing.
Yeah.
Like the beginning of this year, I found myself working with Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh, yeah.
And I did 5 months with them, and then it stopped at the end of April, and then it was like this lull, but there was work that I was bringing in at home because I got to set up at home. So I was mixing a project for a friend. Like when I go home today, I'm going to try to do a note for note recreation of a Vince Gill solo for a client in London.
Wow.
For a sound-alike. And then Wednesday I'll be tracking with Paul Lyme and Company doing the CMA Country Christmas pre-records.
Oh, yeah.
And then Thursday night I get on a bus and go do a date with Terry Clark in Maryland.
Well, it's terribly exciting. My girlfriend Kara, she's a fashion designer. She's like, your life is so. A word that keeps coming up is interesting. She goes, that's so interesting and so fun. It's not like you're digging ditches. Like, yeah, there is some stress that goes along with some early mornings and you're always on an airplane or you're always going somewhere to do something, but everything you're doing is fun and it impacts people in a positive way.
Absolutely.
I always tell people, hey, my purpose in my life, I wrote it down, is to affect people positively, and if I can, change their lives. And I know that you can do that through music. And surely you have changed so many people's lives in all the different things that you've done. It's very impressive.
Well, thank you. It's a humbling thing, and I've had people, come up to me and go, hey, I learned to play guitar because I watched you on the Big Picture tour with Michael W. Smith in 1986.
And you wrote one of his big hits, didn't you?
Well, I wrote a song called...
what was it? I had it written here.
I'm All Right.
Yeah.
And it was on the Big Picture.
Help You
record.
Find Your Way. Did you write that one?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I did.
Yeah. And thanks to our good friend Wiki. Wow. You know you're somebody when you have a wiki, man. I still don't have a wiki, man. But now the only thing that's scary about a wiki is that some jerk can come along and put bad stuff about you.
Yeah, anything can go in a wiki,
which is a little scary.
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that song because I was thinking about the very first song I wrote with him, which was a heavy, almost like a Deep Purple riff.
Interesting for a Michael W. Smith song.
Well, it was the heaviest thing on that record. The Big Picture tour, the Big Picture record for Michael was like when Michael W. discovered Nick Kershaw and the Art of Noise and all these English bands that were like taken over in there. Tears for Fears.
Right.
What was the song that was heavy? You remember?
I think it was called You're All Right.
You're all right.
Yeah.
And it has a deep purple kind of heavy feel.
Well, it's kind of got it's just a kind of just dinosaur riff rock,
Michael W. Smith.
Anything?
Maybe I'll go to his page.
Well, it was on a record called The Big Picture.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah. You can.
The Big Picture.
Which was like Smitty getting acquainted with emulators, Fairlight, all that kind of like synclavier, a lot of sequencing.
Here it is, The Big Picture. Did you get into contemporary Christian music as you're like, well, this is a creative outlet and it's all based in Nashville, or was it something that resonated with your personal beliefs, or how did that all work?
Well, I got here in '78, so it was all starting to launch, and it initially when I got here, it was all in Waco, Texas, or in LA.
Really?
Word was in Waco, Texas, but by 1983, 84, all those companies had set up shop in Nashville. So but when I got to Belmont, the second day I was there, I met Dan Huff.
Yeah, wow.
And Gordon Kennedy and Gary Lunn.
As students.
We were all students.
Oh my gosh.
So which is how I got the gig with Michael W. Michael said, I need a guitar player in the spring. And Dan recommended me.
But Dan wasn't a student, was he? Wasn't he already a recording musician?
No, he went to school. He went to Belmont for about a year, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
And then it was like sessions. Years before we started doing sessions.
But where did Giant fall in that chronology?
Late 80s. And by the late 80s, Dan was, had moved to LA and, played on humongous records.
Massive records.
Yeah. And I can't remember if he had moved back to Nashville by the late 80s. He certainly had moved back by the early 90s.
He was doing a lot of...
Yeah.
And for the layman who's listening, Dan Huff is a world famous producer.
Everyone from Faith Hill to Megadeth.
Right.
And has played on everything from Faith Hill to Whitesnake.
I was at my parents' house reading the liner notes on a Kenny G Christmas album. Guitar, Dan Huff.
Yeah.
Also, I found You're All Right.
Yeah. Let's hear it. Wow.
This is 86.
I like the snare. It sounds like a David Lee Roth track almost.
So I wrote that riff, and Smitty loved it.
It does sound a little bit like a Eat 'Em and Smile record.
It does. Greg Bissonette on drums there.
Yeah.
Which is wild, because that's maybe 2 years before Eat 'Em and Smile came out. Like
85, maybe?
Oh, maybe that early.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm having images of like Roth jumping off of a drum riser.
I saw those guys at the El Paso Coliseum in 1985.
Dang.
Yeah, no,
David Lee Roth?
That sounds really, really great.
Was it with the black and white pearl drum set that is now on sale on eBay?
No way.
It is. You got 13 grand?
Wow, interesting.
The guy who produced that record, John Patoker, had engineered everybody from Steely Dan to like Scritti Politti.
Wow.
By the point that
that's a really great sound.
And that's 86.
Yeah.
It's a clean sound. It's a really good sound.
Nashville had a studio called the Bennett House. It was in Franklin back then, and you could get Zeppelin style drums at this place. It was a pretty legendary studio.
There was a video I saw of you where you were just demonstrating your tone on the guitar. It was for Analysis Plus, and I was just like, listen to that tone. You also play other, you play acoustic guitar, but you also play fiddle, mandolin, banjo?
I don't play fiddle. I definitely play like REM style mandolin, ding, 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 ding,
pop, yeah.
A line. I did, if I had to go anywhere near like what Vince, or Marty, or, a great man.
Charlie Daniels or
Chris Thiele.
I mean, listen to this tone right here, Jim. This is just raw in the studio. I think this is Chris kicking things off. Just a great sound.
We're at Shannon. That's Shannon Forest Studio.
Shannon's?
Yeah.
I mean, you play the guitar like a drummer with soul and passion and feel.
You see, as a drummer, I'm listening to that drum beat and I'm just falling in love with it. Who's playing?
Shannon Forest.
Is it?
Yep.
It's such a simple beat, but it's so... There's so many people think that they could play like that.
That just feels great.
That's got a good pocket.
Thank you. That's now a completed song, and I'm going to be putting it out.
But I mean, you don't play. You're playing the guitar. You don't need a drummer. You know what I mean? I think that's that Bronx Miami thing. I think it's the thing. It's your upbringing.
Yeah.
You know, did you listen to any Puerto Rican music? Like,
Totally brought up on it.
Yeah.
Except at the time, in the late '60s, the Fania All Stars in New York were like the Jackson 5 for Puerto Ricans. Like, but it's totally danceable music.
Yeah.
But it's just kick butt. It's like Latin Motown. It's soul music.
That's fantastic.
But it's all. The bass is never on the downbeat. It's always boom,
And up
boom,
to
boom, boom.
bum,
That's the groove. All the stuff.
Yeah.
Really.
Are you a dancer when you play?
I danced. I definitely went through the disco era, and we all gave it a middle finger as musicians.
Yeah.
But we were always at the club every weekend.
I mean, we used to go. I don't know if this happens anymore, but I used to go dancing.
But the thing is, with you, when I see you play, and now that I'm seeing you just kind of getting into, and once you hear your music, you get into the mode.
There's a physicality,
right? Where a lot of guys will just sit there and just play. You feel it.
My thing that I love probably most is what I call like Nile Rodgers rhythm guitar. That's like when I grew up in the 70s to play skank rhythm.
You mean like Chic?
Like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Mm-hmm. Everything from Earth, Wind to Average White Band to all the soul music of the 70s. I
mean, I love Motown, man.
And Motown and Philadelphia soul, like the Spinners and the OJs. And all those cool, it's just the greatest soul rhythm guitar. Like, I love that as much as I loved Hendrix and playing heavy. So like I tried to always.
There's a tangible energy that you can see and feel when you see a guy playing his instrument and having fun with it. To watch Rich play, he dances while he plays. And that really it conveys to the audience.
I'm really just making love,
right? But I mean, you could tell you're really into it. And I think maybe that was probably a big attribute to both of your successes, the fact that people can just feel that energy, that fun energy coming.
Well, and you're a very likable guy. Yeah. I could see why people would want to be around you.
Thank you so much, man. It's kind of you to say.
And you're still playing this music. I mean, that band you play in, the Alternators, you guys you're doing Beatles, Beach Boys, McCartney, Steely Dan, Temptation, Zeppelin, Little Feat. That's a great, it's the American songbook.
Well, we try to do songs that we didn't do in whatever band we were in high school. Things that we missed, maybe. Like we always played the obvious, taking care of bitch.
Right, so
we play. But how about like one of the,
B-sides.
Something from the Royal Scam from Steely Dan.
Yeah.
Let's play some hits. I mean, we want to play, and almost everything we do is a hit. But we'll pick a cool B-side, or we do Synchronicity too. That's the
I love it.
That's the most fun of the whole night.
Here's your skank guitar right here.
See, look at him. He gets into the mode. Love it.
You have to. My buddy Kurt Allison, same way, dances around when he plays.
But except in the studio, he sits down.
If you can't move to this, you're dead.
Niall's a drummer, man. I'm telling you. He's the leader of that band.
What does that mean about me? I'm the only one not moving.
Well, now, you did play in a band called Connecticut White Bread. Now,
let's not bring that up.
Now,
CWB?
That drummer, Tony Thompson, God rest his soul, he also played in that band, The Power Station. Yeah. So when I was really getting better at playing drums, I could not get enough of this.
Oh, man. I know what...
This T-Rex remake.
Those big drums.
They recorded it at The Power Station in New York City.
Love it. I think Robert Palmer was a genius, man.
He was, man. God rest his soul.
Beautiful singer, and just he's great.
We're losing so many masters.
Yes,
we really are.
He went early too. He was at like 54 when he passed.
I mean, that's 5 years for me. Dang.
Stop.
You got to live life. Now, here's the deal. It's like I smoked a cigar last night on my patio, and I said to myself, I probably shouldn't do this, but at the same time, you can go vegan. You could do 1,000 crunches a day, and I could drop dead tomorrow. So you got to enjoy your life a little bit.
Tomorrow's promised to no one.
Yeah, there's no guarantees.
Yep.
The only 2 days that don't matter in the year are yesterday and tomorrow.
You just have to live and enjoy, milk the present.
That's right.
Yeah.
And enjoy.
You know why they they call it the present?
Because it's a present.
Because it's a gift.
It's a gift.
gift.
It's like Warren Zevon when he was on David Letterman. They said,
He's got a drum
what else
pad.
do we have?
Oh,
It is a gift.
It's a gift. That's right.
Very nice. Warren Zevon said, enjoy every sandwich. Because when he was talking to David Letterman, he had a terminal illness.
Yeah.
He was just, any advice? Enjoy every sandwich.
Make memories.
Yeah, especially if it's like a Jimmy John's and it's got like real avocado on it and some sprouts.
Chris, what is your spiritual advice for somebody? Lay it on us.
Spiritual,
Yeah, man. We're getting deep here.
Yeah, I'm just going to go practical. I mean, I hit the ground running every day. As soon as my feet are on the ground from the bed, I just ask God, what do you have for me today? Like, what's my deal for today?
Yeah.
And that's a fresh question every morning for me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's like you're on a mission from God every day.
And that's in the higher sense
Yeah.
of the word, for me. Because like you, if I'm on the stage, I want to make Keith Urban look good. I want to make Kenny Loggins look good. Mm-hmm. And then I want to elevate the room, or help them elevate the room.
Absolutely.
So that's my purpose. And I dig that, Keith Urban, when I first got the gig, I was so stoic because it was an in-ears gig with like click track.
A lot of tracks.
So it's a studio environment. And all he put on there was like a pad that would come in on the bridge. 90% of what we did was live. There'd just be like an occasional thing that would sneak in. So I'm like, I'm going to lock into every 16th note, like Bukovac. I'm just going to go, And he's like, yeah, I expect you to do that. Now try to out rock star me. I don't want you to be.
Yeah.
I want you to be, look at everybody in the crowd.
He challenged you. He said, yeah. And you gave it to him.
Yeah.
So he wants you to share the stage with him.
He was like, try to out rock star me. This is our playground,
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
yeah,
That's
very empowering,
Yeah.
You kind of, I actually learned
Humble,
how to
too.
be an entertainer with him.
Wow.
More than anybody. Up to that point I played, and kind of did my thing, but like with him it was like, we're all going to work this room.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like, what a lesson.
But that's kind of cool that he created that culture for you.
Yeah. And then he trusted me as a guitar player where like if he needed to like put the strap behind him all cool and grab the mic and work it, I could cover, anything that was going to be missing. So, I learned a lot about he was one of the best or the best I've ever seen at making the 17,909th guy in the back row feel.
Yeah, just
I love his
feel
music.
like they were in the front
I
row.
love his music. And
He's such a likable dude too. Seemingly, I've never
And
met
a
him.
stunning musician,
Yeah.
He's a real, he was Bon Jovi, but like Jeff Beck wrapped in there,
Wow, that's a great comparison.
And an arena country act that, country for people who don't like country.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
That got into country because of him.
Well, it is the new rock. We're definitely going to have some haters out there like, no, I would never. Are you kidding me? Country and Western. But it's just like, our shows, the fans are 15 to 55, male and female, pumping their fists, having an amazing time. It's like, this is the greatest job in the world.
My kids were 8 and 11 7 and 10 when they saw you guys, and they were pumping their fists.
Did they have a great time?
They really did.
It's fantastic.
Rock
like seeing the
really got
recordings.
transferred over to country.
Yeah.
That is what happened.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, every band on the buzz, every modern rock band started to sound exactly alike. Now, people can say that about country, especially some of the bro stuff where it's like, okay, we've got like an 86 BPM with a really loud 16th tambourine and some guy like quasi rapping about partying in the sticks. That's going to sound pretty, we're repeating ourselves. But that's what every genre does,
yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's going to be the grunge of country is the question.
The grunge of country.
When you see a guy wearing a flannel, you're in trouble.
yeah, playing a Jaguar or a Mustang. Or, yeah.
The mullet's going to make a comeback. Mark my words.
It already has. I am seeing it
Too bad I can't.
I
read the
can't
rest.
believe
Seeing
it.
a mullet come back.
I'm seeing VO5 hot oil treatment mullets.
Oh boy.
And, I had one because, Dave Weckl had one. You know what I mean? So, what a sight to see in the early 90s. I had a Dave Weckl VO5 hot oil treatment mullet and
It was fabulous.
Jeff Porcaro glasses.
Yeah.
What a sight. Wow. Yeah, slacks,
We need to-
suspenders.
You have all that video of you playing, don't you?
I've got tons of video of me playing like big band and reggae and weird stuff.
If anybody's listening to this and wants to digitize that video, an intern or something like that, please contact us.
Yeah, well, on one of our episodes, I said, this room right here behind this wall, there is cabinets full of tens of thousands of number charts and drum charts that I've used over the last 25 years.
I'm the same way. I keep them all paper.
I want someone to put it into an iPad Pro.
Yeah.
And everyone sees the size of the job because these kids are like, man, I'll do it. I'll come hang out at your studio, Rich. And I'll be like, dude, this is a big
You
one.
have no idea what you're saying. Yeah.
And
I'm the same way though. I like paper. If I wrote it down, I'm not going to forget it.
I saw you filled in for Chris Cottrell's last minute with Terry, and you had paper charts. And I was like, God bless him. Because what if the sun is in the retinal screen of your iPad, or it breaks down, or there's a power loss? You can't mess with paper.
Yeah.
And out there, the sun is hitting you direct. And there's one thing MacBooks don't like. It's 103 degrees.
Oh, yeah. And then they freeze up.
And then they stop.
Yep.
And then, babble, this is solid. I can put my hands on it. Here we go.
Yeah.
I can turn the page.
Boom.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to do it so bad is to have another point in case there's a fire or a theft. I want to be able to
You've got
have
backup.
it digitized. At the same time, say I'm in Los Angeles, I'm playing the Viper Room, and the guy goes, great, we're doing the outfield, and then we're going to do Back in Black by AC/DC, we're going to go Pink Houses. I'm like, great, I know them, but to nail them, my charts are in Nashville, so I have to rewrite the chart again. But if I have my iPad Pro with me...
You can see the patterns.
Or if you had them on a shared drive, you'd be able to print them up.
Interesting. I don't know if there's a Dropbox in the world that's big enough to carry my charts.
Well, speaking of charts, we charted out a soon-to-be famous Broadway show song a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which you can reference. Go back probably a couple of weeks at this point, and check out you charting "Waving Through a Window" from Dear Evan Hansen.
Which is coming.
Great song.
Which is coming to TPAC.
Yeah.
Or,
Well, it came to TPAC.
by the time this airs, it'll have come and gone.
Yes. So check out that video.
So Jim was just curious about, he goes, so what, this skill set that you need to be a recording musician, that the Greg Morrills and the Paul Limes and the Shannon Forrests and the Chris McHughes use every day, is you have to be able, if you're not given a number chart, or if the producer wants details, you have to be able to hear an MP3 and pretty much write out a very detailed chart. So I did it in real time with him hovering over me with a camera, then I got on the drums and I performed it for the first time, and we filmed that.
Yeah. First time you ever heard the song.
It's not like it doesn't happen every day in Nashville,
But it's an amazing
does
talent.
not happen every day in Des Moines, Iowa.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why people come here.
Yeah, that's why they come here.
Right.
Because basically, you can get a concentrate, concise look at what the 4-minute song, 3-minute song is on a piece of paper.
Right.
And there's some basic building blocks. Of course, a tremendous amount of creativity has to be added to that.
Right.
That's just a roadmap to go, here's what we're doing.
Right.
And then, it's a fantastic process. Nashville's kind of king of the hill on that kind of record making.
It really is. And then, we have our friend Bernie Dressel, who plays great big band style, but he's the drummer on all these Marvel movies. And he probably played on Endgame and Infinity Wars and all of them. And every note is written out. So that's another level of reading. And that's kind of the reading I did in college, that me and Jim Riley and Jason Sutter and all these guys, we put ourselves through the ringer doing that kind of reading. And then when you come to Nashville, it's more like, okay, you have the numbers, you know what the style is, you know what the BPM is, you listen to the lyrics, you listen to your inner self and your intuition from pulling from your knowledge of musical style and musical history, and then you have to create that in the moment and be able to take direction. Like, I'll say this, the first and only time I worked with Dan Huff. I did a Steel Magnolia record with him, and I thought to myself, oh my God, I have made it. I'm finally working with the legendary Dan Huff. And he had so many cool ideas about drum sounds and the part and so much information. So by the end of that session, my charts looked like some sort of Egyptian hieroglyphics. It was so much information and so many curveballs he was throwing at me. It was so fun. I wish he would call me again. Dan,
call him.
No,
he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
I ran into him and he goes, oh, I'd love to, but it's just, you're on the road. And then I started producing records with New Voice Entertainment. We started doing all the Thompson Square records and Parmalee records and stuff. And then once people start saying that, oh, you're a producer, he's not going to come play on my record. Are you kidding me? I'll come play on your record.
And your records sound great, man. Those singles.
Thank you, man.
It sounds great. Every time I hear it on the radio, I'm like, that's a perfect sounding record.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good. That was a good.
What a compliment.
It was a good husband and wife country pop duo, man. What they had we really did sweat blood 20-hour days to give them an identifiable.
Yeah.
That's a good word for voiceover
Yes,
warm up.
it is.
Identifiable. Sonic brand.
No, they're
Regular,
really solid. Great sounding record. I loved it. Loved it.
So what's coming up for you, man? What's some where can people find you, and what's happening with your world?
Man, I just did a record called Head, Hands, and Heart. That's decidedly a jazz instrumental record, but there's some vocals on there.
Wow.
And then
As you singing.
Yeah, but it's primarily jazz instrumentals and some straight ahead and some fusion, some kind of that sounds like, late 70s, early 80s fusion.
Like Return to Forever Mahavishnu type.
Yeah, hopefully that that complex and interesting, but I'm striving for that.
Yeah.
And but I'm out, I'm out doing dates with Kenny Loggins, and
great.
I'm out doing dates with Terry Clark, and Wednesday I'll be tracking with Paul Lime on the CMA country stuff.
I love it.
It just keeps moving.
When you play Danger Zone, do you see the intro to Top Gun every time
Yeah,
in your head?
Yeah.
Who's in Kenny's band these days?
Well, and it had Tristan Bowden, who had been with
We love
Chicago for
Tris,
30
yeah.
years,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just one of the most incredible guys. And he had some shoulder surgery, so this year it's been David Salinas, who's a marvelous drummer from L.A.
Yeah.
Well,
Have to look him up.
he's actually from England, but has lived in L.A. for a long time. And then Adam Nitty on bass.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then Scott Bernard on really first chair guitar and just ridiculous guitarist. And then I pop in here and there, and I'm second guitar. Scott's kind of doing my former gig when I was really full time with Kenny, and then I come in and do some extra layering, and then high background vocals.
Yeah. So people lean on you for your background vocals. I mean, that's a great skill to bring to the table.
Yeah, and that career for me as a singer kind of happened by accident. I really was shooting for like the Dan Huff thing. I wanted to be a studio guitar player, and but the vocal thing is what really took off early. Now it's kind of 50-50,
Yeah.
But it just.
I love that there's jazz is in there, the fusion is in there, the R&B. You've had a lot of these influences, and you bring all those things to the table. I love it.
But the next record, the volume 2 of I've sort of committed to a sub brand called Venus Pool, and so my record's called Head, Hands, and Heart. Songs from the Venus Pool, Volume 1. The next record will have a different title, but it'll still be Songs from the Venus Pool, Volume 2.
Now people can find that on Spotify?
Spotify, it's on all the streaming services right now.
Yeah.
So it's Spotify, Apple Music, all the above.
Love it. We can put that in the show notes. Maybe.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And but the next record is going to be like a pop record, like a power pop record, like if Sarah Bareilles was a dude.
Yeah.
It's going to be on that tip.
I love power pop. Now, speaking of power pop, when you've toured with Shania, wasn't Will Owsley in the band?
Yeah, I got him in there.
That's awesome.
I got him in there.
Now those records, those Owsley records, God rest his soul, he's no longer with us. But
one of my best friends in life. Yeah.
What wonderful records.
Yep. He was for somebody who never became a household word, as they say, he probably had the most influence on me as a musician of anybody I've probably ever met. And then in the 80s and 90s when everybody had racks and all this stuff, he's like, man, let's go back to pedals.
Yeah.
If a Strat was really popular, he's like, let's play some Les Pauls. You know? And he was always song first, hooks. Let's edit the fat out of this arrangement, man. You know? And his records sound like that. There's no fat.
That's why I was blown away by that 8-bar intro on Beggar's Paradise. I was like, nowadays it's just like, come on, kid, 4 bars, let's get
That's
in.
it.
You know
Get into
what I
it.
mean?
But that's 1999.
Yeah.
You know, we were allowed, you know. Now, I was listening to like English bands and Oasis, Blur,
XTC and
Supergrass,
Sponge.
XTC, all these bands back then. I was listening to Wilco too, you know.
The Brits really have it. I mean, and I love Americana. So when you start thinking about like Uncle Tupelo and Wilco and Mellencamp and Lucinda and Steve Earle, I mean, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I really do. Ryan Adams
Last night in Mark Knopfler's band was Richard Bennett, who
played on Guitar Town.
yep. He's the guitar.
You know what's really funny about Richard Bennett? I believe he changed his last name because his brother is Bermuda Schwartz, who has had the job playing drums with Weird Al for 30 years. And Richard Bennett is Bermuda Schwartz's older brother, so I think his last name is Richard Schwartz. Isn't that crazy? Use the Schwartz.
Yeah, it's always with
Schwartz
you.
is with you, Bennett.
Yeah, okay.
So winding down, let's play What Did We Learn?
Ooh, what did we learn?
So what did you learn during this show, Rich?
I learned that there's a reason why Chris Rodriguez has been a first call session and touring musician for the last, I don't even know how many years in Nashville. 6 presidencies.
That's a good way to.
7 presidencies.
Slay the timing, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Let's count it.
I learned that
Reagan,
he's super
Clinton.
likable,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of things ahead of him. What did you learn?
I learned that Keith Urban is quite the leader when it comes to his band, which is his business.
Well,
you know?
it sounds like he was very encouraging in everyone expressing their artistry.
Chris, what did you learn? Spotlight on
I
you.
learned that this guy is where he is, not by accident. There are no accidents.
Oh man, hard work, right?
Hard work,
Follow
man.
through, execution. You know, I like that you every day you start your day with like, God, what do you have for me every day? And I do my gratitude list. So you know, I go and I just go through like all the things that people can take for granted every day. I just kind of ground myself, usually in the shower. Like it's very meditative, and I'm just thinking about all the things that I've been gifted with, and then I want to go out there and I just want to impact people, you know, and provide value and enhance people's lives and bring joy to people, maybe have a laugh with people. And I know you can do that through drumming. I know you can do that through music. I know you can do that through education, motivation. So I'm very happy with what has happened so far in my life, and it sounds like you are too.
Well, you know, you can project. Sometimes back there drumming and laying down all that time, what a heavy burden. You know, like it all rests on you.
Yeah.
I can make a mistake, but if you or Tully make a mistake, grandma wakes up and knows. You know, like
no one notices the bass until you miss a note.
yeah, when there's something down low there that's gone awry,
Right.
you know, anybody can feel it. So it's like, but you project. You're keeping all that time, and yet you project.
You have to share your energy with the cheap seats, is what I always tell the kids.
It's good, man. I learned valuable lessons there because I'm kind of a quiet. Generally, I learned to be a little more lively, I guess. I was kind of like melancholy and kind of stoic and
Like a shoegazer rocker.
broody. I'm broody, and it took me a while. you know?
Yeah.
And then by the time I graduated out of Belmont, I was like, okay, this is what I got to do.
For sure.
Yeah, I got to hit it hard.
So you got the piece of paper? Was it music performance?
Yeah, I got a BA in performance with an emphasis in music business because they had a great, and still do have an excellent.
They were one of the first colleges to have a music
biz program.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I still have an affiliation with the school. Like last fall, I got to do a number of jazz things. We did like a very difficult Pat Metheny chart, and then they did one of mine, but arranged for 27 pieces.
I love that.
And Dr. Jeff Kirk conducted, and I'm still great pals with my guitar instructor there, John Pell. He's been there since the day I got there.
Relationships that last a lifetime.
Yeah. And so that's the fun part of the ride right now. I'm sort of looking back and going, I'm still really good pals with everybody that I met in
And
79.
sounds like you've never burned a bridge, because I just can't see you doing that.
Yeah, I don't really. That's not a good course of action generally,
ever.
and not for me.
I mean, sometimes you can't avoid it. Sometimes you'll anger someone. Like, if you give somebody 2 weeks notice, which is professional courtesy, if you can't do a job and they're still angry at you and never call you back.
You can't control that.
I don't want to do business with that person anyways.
Yeah. Generally, I've just kind of tried to treat everybody the way I would like to be.
Golden rule.
Yeah.
That's
right.
Put that in the show notes. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and I'm just jazzed to do it, and pardon the pun, but I get to wake up and make up stuff.
Yeah, and I didn't know you were a jazzer. I mean, your toolbox is so deep. That's really, really cool about you.
It's an itch I wanted to scratch.
Yeah.
Well, what if you wake up and you ask God and he says, okay, put the guitar down and pick up a shovel. We're digging ditches today.
That'd be cool too. Bloom where you're planted. That was the thing I heard this year that really helped me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I actually saw that when I dated my wife. Her mom had it on.
Courtney, happy birthday. Sorry I missed it yesterday.
Well, at this point, like a month and a half ago.
Totally.
But there was something in there that you'd sit there and stare at it and go, huh. Yeah, it's interesting. Bloom where you are planted is water where you are.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was something that I can't remember. But anyway, moving on.
Hey, so do you have a is there a chrisrodriguez.com?
So you can reach me at Jetpack Ventures, Jetpack Artist Ventures, and that's the small company that we are selling my record in various swag, as it were.
Yeah.
And then definitely I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all the above.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my Facebook is personal page and fan page. Fan page is Chris Rodriguez. Personal page is Chris William Rodriguez. But I'm on both all the time. And a lot of people go to my personal page, which for all intents and purposes is a music page.
Yeah, and maybe some Adam Rodriguez fans will find you as well.
We'll put all the information in the description.
There's another Chris Rodriguez in Miami who is a really successful Latin, primarily Latin music producer. He's huge. And we kept hearing about each other. And
But you show up first on Google.
I show up first?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think when we do get Clint Holmes on the show, we're going to have you both on, and we're going to play, guess who we're talking to.
That's a great game.
Yes.
Jim's got some great ideas for games.
Yeah.
We love building this thing. We're having so much fun with this. Thank you so much for being here
brother.
and sharing your
man.
insights
Yeah, man.
and
Thank you.
history.
Great to meet you, man.
Thank you so
Very,
much.
very awesome. Yeah, you can find Chris on all those places. Of course, you could see him with his band around town. You can hear him on the radio probably 5 times an hour on the hour. It's been a real thrill to have you, man. Thank you guys so much for watching The Rich Redmond Show. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share. We'll keep bringing you the good stuff. We'll see you next time.
This has been The Rich Redmond Show. Subscribe, rate, and follow along at richredmond.com/podcasts.